This is DD India and you're watching Express News, a program where we bring you top 100 news of the day. I'm Amritpal Singh. Let's begin. The President of India, Draupadi Murmu, awarded the Distinguished Service Awards to military personnel at the Defence Investiture ceremony, which took place at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi today. 57 officers of the Indian Armed Forces were felicitated at the Rashtrapati Bhavan with Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan and others in attendance. Australian Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles met Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Both leaders held a productive discussion on deepening India-Australia Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, which marks its 5th anniversary today. Earlier, Richard Marles paid tributes to fallen soldiers by laying a wreath at the National War Memorial in the national capital. Richard Marles was accorded with a Guard of Honor at the Manekshaw Centre in Delhi on Wednesday. He was accompanied by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. During bilateral meetings, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said that India is facing extreme challenges on the Western Front in response to the dastardly attack in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir. Expressing his solidarity with India against terrorism, Richard Marles emphasized that the two countries are close partners and defence and maritime security include that partnership. Home Minister announced on Wednesday that population census 2027 will take place in 2 phases along with enumeration of caste. The reference date for the population census 2027 will be from the midnight of the first day of March 2027. At least 7 dead and several others injured in stampede near the Chinnaswamy Stadium during the RCB felicitation ceremony in Bengaluru. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju said that the government has decided to commence monsoon session of Parliament from July 21st to August 12th. Multi-party delegation led by Member of Parliament Dr. Shashi Tharoor visited Washington, D.C. The delegation will be meeting members of the U.S. Congress and administration, think tanks, media and policy makers. The parliamentary delegation led by BJP MP Ravi Shankar Prasad is currently on its visit to the European Union headquarters in Brussels. The all-party parliamentary delegation also paid floral tributes to Mahatma Gandhi at the embassy, reaffirming India's enduring commitment to peace, non-violence and tolerance. Another all-party delegation led by Supriya Sule called on the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Egypt, Dr. Badr Abdelati. Both sides acknowledged the growing momentum in India-Egypt strategic partnership. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal participated in the WTO Trade Ministers gathering on the margins of the OECD Ministerial Council meeting in Paris. The minister suggested setting up working groups between businesses of India and France that could enable focused attention on emerging sectors. The minister also highlighted India opportunity driven by a skilled and talented workforce and the government's commitment to ease of doing business and its promising avenues for French companies. Minister Piyush Goyal also interacted with Israel's Minister of Economy and Industry, Nir Barkat, and held discussions on strengthening cooperation in high-tech and emerging sectors. The National Human Rights Commission of India recently convened its statutory full commission meeting in New Delhi with a primary objective to foster greater synergy and cooperation among these commissions. Paraguay's President Santiago Pena Palacios attended the event at the IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Mumbai. During the event, the President highlighted Paraguay's benefits, including ample clean energy, strategic location, economic stability and business-friendly environment. Paraguay President also met with Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis. RBI's Monetary Policy Committee began its three-day meeting in Mumbai to decide the repo rate cut. The committee's decision will be announced on Friday. Oil India Limited has commenced natural gas production from the Bakri Tibba block located in the desert belt near Indo-Pak border in Rajasthan's Jaisalmer district. Indian equity indices ended on a positive note in the volatile session on Wednesday. At close, the Sensex climbed 261 points to settle at 80,998. Nifty jumped 78 points to settle at 24,620. Gold futures maturing on June 5th were priced at 97,055 rupees per 10 grams on the multi-commodity exchange. Silver futures for July 4th maturity stood at 1,01,509 rupees per kilo on the MCX. Indian rupee fell to 29 paisa to close at 85 rupees 90 paisa against the dollar. Oil prices slipped in Asian trade on Wednesday, weighed down by concerns of increasing OPEC plus output and tariff tension that threatens the global economic outlook. U.S. stock indices closed higher on Tuesday, helped by gains in Nvidia and other chip makers as investors await possible negotiations between the U.S. and its trading partners. Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Dr. P.K. Mishra and UN Deputy Secretary General Amina J. Mohammed explored enhanced cooperation mechanisms for disaster risk reduction at the 8th Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction in Geneva. South Korea's new President Lee Jae-myung vowed to reach out to nuclear-armed North and heal wounds as he took office on Wednesday after winning snap elections. Lee scored a thumping victory with 49.42% votes over conservative Kim Moon-soo in snap elections. Lee spoke to South Korea's top military commander and formally assumed operational control of the country's armed forces on Wednesday. Lee Jae-myung appointed Kim Min-suk as a four-term Democratic Party lawmaker as his Prime Minister. Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated Lee Jae-myung on his election as South Korea's president. U.S. President Donald Trump's increased tariffs on imported steel and aluminum from 25% to 50% came into effect on Wednesday. Mexico Economy Minister Marcelo Ebrard has criticized the move, arguing that the U.S. currently holds a trade surplus with Mexico and that tariffs should be used in cases of trade deficits. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said on Wednesday that the date of the next round of direct peace talks with Ukraine will be agreed only when the two sides were ready. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said that Tehran will not abandon its uranium enrichment, rejecting a key U.S. demand. In a speech heard on state television, Iran's supreme leader said that US proposal for a nuclear agreement went against the country's national interest. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrived in the courtroom in Tel Aviv for a new hearing in his corruption trial. Billionaire Elon Musk hit out at President Donald Trump's signature tax and spending bill, calling it a disgusting abomination and that will increase the federal deficit. Chinese President Xi Jinping met President Alexander Lukashenko of Belarus in Beijing, aiming to further deepen strategic ties and cooperation. US President Donald Trump said that Chinese President Xi Jinping is tough and extremely hard to make a deal with, days after US President accused China of violating an agreement to roll back tariffs. A court in northeastern El Salvador began trial of 3 former military officers over the killing of 4 Dutch journalists during the country's civil war that lasted from 1980 to 1992. Ecuador's Congress approved a constitutional reform to allow the establishment of foreign military bases in the country. In Bolivia, at least 10 police officers were injured in clashes with supporters of former leader Evo Morales, demanding his bid for a 4th term as president. Dangerous wildfires burning in 3 Canadian provinces has prompted the evacuation of thousands of residents. Alerts were issued for parts of Canada and the neighboring United States, warning of hazardous air quality. According to the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre, there were 208 active fires across Canada. A thick layer of Saharan dust blanketed Puerto Rico, casting a hazy veil over the island's iconic landmarks. Forecasters predict that the Saharan dust cloud will continue its westward path through the Caribbean, reaching parts of Florida. Romania's Prade salt mine was shut down after the area's worst flood in 30 years caused a nearby stream to swell. The flood situation in India's northeastern part has worsened, with over 6.3 lakh people affected in 21 districts. The death toll rises to 12. Incessant rains disrupted normal life in scores of villages in several states of India's northeast. Heavy rain accompanied by severe thunderstorms and lightning lashed Odisha's capital Bhubaneswar on Wednesday. Mumbai witnessed light rainfall today. The Met Department predicts thunderstorms accompanied by lightning in the city on Thursday. A spectacular display of pink aurora caused by severe geomagnetic storm lit up the night sky over various cities in northeast China's Heilongjiang province. Hajj 2025 began on Wednesday, drawing millions of Muslims from across the globe to the holy sites of Makkah and Medina. Vietnam has abolished its decades-old 2-child policy, allowing couples to decide the number of children they want. Iraqi farmer grew the desert by turning the government-subsidized sprinkler system amid water scarcity concerns. The 2025 World Robotics Carnival held in China's Wuhan city showcased cutting-edge robots with diverse abilities. 300 young students in Turkey's Burdur transformed 100,000 pieces of waste into art. Japanese researchers have engineered a novel plastic that rapidly dissolves in seawater. During the annual Sardine Run, hundreds of people flocked to the shores of South Africa's east coast of Durban. Encounters in the Milky Way, a new hidden planetarium, a show at the American Museum of Natural History, explores the motion of solar system through the galaxy. Turkey's National Palaces Painting Museum is hosting an exhibition showcasing over 70 traditional Turkish arts. France plans to ban smoking on beaches, parks, outside schools from July to protect children. Beta Technologies became the first US company to land an all-electric aircraft carrying passengers at New York's busy John F. Kennedy Airport. Over 150 women gathered at Simla's iconic Mall Road to perform the traditional Himachali Nati dance during the Simla Summer Festival. India's temple town of Ayodhya in Uttar Pradesh has been decked up for the consecration ceremony of Ram Darbar. Monks, nuns, devotees and diplomats paid final homage to the sacred Buddha relics in New Delhi. Dior's New York City exhibit celebrates its design legacy through the work of its 7 creative directors. Ahead of its much-anticipated Season 3, Netflix's Squid Game launches an interactive experience in London. Blumhouse announced that it is developing a feature film based on the hit paranormal game Phasmophobia. Blake Lively's emotional distress case against Justin Baldoni faces a setback as a judge ruled in his favor. Actors Miranda Cosgrove and Pearson Ford are all set to bring some light-hearted romance to Netflix with their upcoming rom-com, The Wrong Paris. Phineas and Ash announced their new band, The Favors, with debut single The Little Mess You Made is set to release this Friday. Singer Jessie J, aged 37, has revealed an early breast cancer diagnosis. Rapper Eminem has filed a $109 million lawsuit against Meta, accusing the company of copyright infringement. Two-time Grammy winner Sabrina Carpenter announced her new single, Man-Child, on Tuesday ahead of Primavera sound performance. Bollywood superstar Akshay Kumar's Houseful 5 has earned 3.88 crore rupees in advance bookings for day 1. The film is set to release this Friday. Royal challengers Bengaluru secured their maiden Indian Premier League title on Tuesday night, beating Punjab Kings by 6 runs in the final in Ahmedabad. The Royal Challengers Bangalore team was felicitated in Karnataka on Wednesday as the Rajat Patidar-led side lifted their first Indian Premier League title. Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers shared an emotional hug after the win in Ahmedabad. The two were RCB's mainstay for 11 years before AB de Villiers announced his retirement in 2021. 17 editions of yearning and heartbreak turned into pure joy for the massive RCB fan base as they gathered outside the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad to celebrate their team's maiden IPL trophy. Gujarat Titans' consistent top-order star Sai Sudarshan bagged the orange cap while also being adjudged the Emerging Player of the Season award. Mumbai Indians' dynamic batter Surya Kumar Yadav was crowned the Most Valuable Player of the Season award. Jamie Smith struck a maiden one-day international 50 to set up England's victorious run chase as they completed a 3-0 series sweep of the West Indies at his Oval home ground on Tuesday. Mitchell Marsh will lead Australian team as CA named a 16-member squad for its 5-match 2020 international series against West Indies in Jamaica and St. Kitts next month. American Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura broke world champion D. Kuke's run of the classical wins by comprehensively beating the Indian to earn 3 points on Tuesday. Arjun Erigaisi rode back to contention with a victory over Fabiano Caruana in the 8th round of Norway Chess. Defending French champion Carlos Alcaraz produced a dominant display to beat 12th seed Tommy Paul and reach the semi-finals at Roland Garros. Italian 8th seed Lorenzo Musetti defeated France's Tiafoe 6-2, 4-6, 7-5, 6-2 on Tuesday and is into a Grand Slam semi-final for the second time in his career. World number 1 Ariana Sabalenka ended the Olympic champion Zheng Qinwen's run at the French Open on Tuesday to seal a spot in the French Open semi-finals. Triple defending champion Iga Swiatek marched into the last 4 at the Roland Garros with a straight sets victory over Elena Svitolina. Lionel Messi participated in Argentina's training session on Tuesday as the national team prepares for the upcoming World Cup qualifying match against Chile. That's it in this edition of Express News. Thank you for tuning in. Namaskar.